Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys watching today's video. And guys, today we're going to be talking why I'm sort of going to make a case why it's good to have bad boys in the sport of professional fishing. And they've been around for a while, and I'm sort of going to talk about that a little bit. I'd be curious to get your guys' opinion on that too. So, hey, if you guys hear, I know a lot of you guys have been talking about the audio sort of sounds funny in the videos. It's the locusts outside, or cicadas, or whatever you want to call them. But we have got an abundance of I call them locusts anyway, at our new place here, and they are deafening at night. So I'm out here in the garage, and it's freaking baking out here. It's probably over 100 degrees in here, so I'm a little sweaty. And if you hear the bugs, that's what the deal is, because I do have one door open there. So, guys, just real quick, I just wanted to remind you all, if you haven't had a chance, please swing by fishthemoment.com and check out our lake map breakdowns for summer. We're going to be having our summer maps, really talking about them for the next couple weeks, and we're going to switch over to fall. I know you guys hear me talking about it a lot, but it's a really good way to support the channel. If you want to swing by fishthemoment.com and check out our lake breakdowns, I'll put that link in the description, so much appreciated. Okay guys, bad boys for the sport. I'll tell you a little bit about, a little history about Bassmaster. Most of this started with Bassmaster. For so many years, I mean, Ray Scott, he ran bass with an iron fist. I mean, it was his baby. He did exactly what he wanted to. He had a vision. He had a model in his mind on what that was. And there was no place for bad boys in that. I can tell you right that. Because I'll tell you the story. I was sort of like the original bad boy that started it back years ago. But anyway, Ray wanted his boys clean cut, all American, and nothing controversial about them. And I've told this story a couple times before. If you guys haven't heard it, I'll just reiterate it. But it first struck me, the first time I saw this was in 1987. We were at the Bassmaster Megabucks tournament down at the Harris Chain. And my roommate for the tournament, who, made the top 10, Randy Mosley. And so Randy was, I think he was leading the tournament or something. But anyway, they cut to the top 10. And after they cut to the top 10, they had the top 10 up on stage there. And Randy walks up on stage, and he has a pair of Hawaiian print shorts. Just the flowery shorts, no big deal. And anyway, I was right there on the stage up there with him. And after we got done with the meeting, Ray leans over and tells Randy, he goes, "You do not come up here tomorrow with those shorts on." He goes, "You go to Kmart or Walmart tonight, and you get you a pair of decent shorts. I don't want to see you up here in those Hawaiian shorts." So that was like mild at the time. So that was like the first indication of somebody that was ruffling the feathers a little bit. And then, and I'll sort of tell you the evolution by this and why I think it's good for the sport. It was in 1992, I had a chance to, or I did this magazine. It was a men's magazine, sort of like GQ magazine. It was like a New York fashion magazine. Didn't have anything to do with bass fishing, called Details Magazine. They did a story on me. They interviewed me because I was sort of the up and coming pro with Bassmaster, and Bass set it up. Bass, media department set all this up. And anyway, the writers from this magazine, Details Magazine, they were a lot of the ones that, actually the writer that was doing the story with me, he just got done doing an interview with Sharon Stone, because Sharon Stone had made the movie Basic Instinct just a couple months before that. So this was something I had never been exposed to, this type of magazine. So they traveled with us for a couple months at the tournaments, just to sort of get a feel for what we do and everything. And at the end of the interview period, which took about 2 months, they wanted to do a photo shoot for the magazine. And the photographer, what it wanted to do, I was sort of known as the nature boy on the circuit. You guys know that I talk a lot about environmental issues, and I even did then. So since the gist of the article was sort of me being this nature boy amongst a bunch of good old boys in the sport of fishing, they wanted me to pose nude in my boat. And so they explained to me, he said, "What we want to do is we want to get you in the front of the boat and look forward. We're going to take a silhouette of you from behind. You probably won't even know that it's you. You can't even tell." So being 24 years old at the time. I said, well, whatever. So I get up in the front of my boat, my Ranger at the time, pose for this picture, take my clothes off, Lake Lanier. I took my clothes off at Lake Lanier. They took a picture of me from behind. And when the magazine come out, it was not silhouette. It was like clear as day. You could see you couldn't see any private parts, but my butt was glaring in the picture, completely nude from behind. So anyway, of course, Bassmaster at the time threw a fit over it. And I got a call from Nina Wood. She was not happy about it. I mean, it was a big hoo-ha. And Bassmaster actually hired a public relations firm, sort of like this media group that's designed to put out fires for such events. So I had to get counseled by this guy, this, media guy, for causing this uproar about posing nude for a fishing magazine. So that was the first case of the bad boy scenario. And then after that, we had people started emerging after that. It's almost sort of like that opened it up a little bit. And the next big person that came along with that was Mike Iaconelli. And when Iaconelli came out, he was like, this was early 2000s. He was really brash. He was aggressive. He was, super talented. He could back up his bluster with his performance, and people that didn't know how to handle it. I mean, he was just like, how he was. He was going Ike all the time, and he was considered a bad boy fishing. And since then, Iaconelli sort of opened the door for people and professional anglers to be themselves a little bit. And what I mean by being yourselves is like now you see people like, Matt Robertson in the wife beater t-shirt type of a thing. Guys being themselves, being their authentic selves, that they could not get away with that. I mean, somebody like Matt Robertson now, which I really think that I love the fact that he's himself, but Ray Scott would not have tolerated that. He would not have let Matt up on stage with that. That's how much we've changed with it. And there's been a lot of people out there that they've been able to become themselves because of the groundbreaking, work of people like Mike Iaconelli. So the point of what I'm talking about here, guys, this is a good thing. If you are perceived, I don't mean a bad boy in a negative way, but when I'm talking about a bad boy, when you may have a little bit of an edge to you, a little bit of a controversial edge, there's nothing bad about that because people appreciate people being real. And for so many years, what happened is the tournament organizations and some of the people some of the sponsors, some of the more old school sponsors, they didn't want to offend anybody. So they wanted bass pros that were straight and narrow and fit a little mold of the perfect bass pro out there. They didn't want anything else. And it was very difficult to be yourself for so many years. But what happened is, I think what has happened even today to this point is sponsors realize, and the bass tournaments organizations realize, MLF, Bassmaster, all this, that the public appreciates that. They appreciate people being themselves, even if they're rough around the edges. People are not stupid. They can pick up on somebody that's trying to fake it and somebody that's trying to be, like something they're not. For so many years, this was sort of a canned speech. You'd have this bass pro that got up there. He'd get up there. He was perfectly dressed. He had his tournament shirt tucked in. He had a belt on, clean shaven, all this type of stuff. And they'd get up there and say, oh, I just, this is such a great community. I just like to thank the people of such and such for, hosting this tournament. They were great. And they fit into this scripted mold, and people didn't respond well to that. It was boring, and it was not authentic. And when you get people up there that are just, like I said, rough around the edges and a little bit different, even if people don't maybe agree with it or like it, they can at least appreciate that people being themselves and that authenticity. So I encourage it, man. Aside from going out there and doing something that's like, embarrassing to the sport or illegal or something like that, I think it's great when I see people speak their mind and, people being themselves, even if they're a little bit rough around the edges. That's okay, because, most people can look beyond that. One of the things you'll find out in life is that you can't please everybody. You can't be all things to all people. It just does not work out there. So you have to be yourself, even if that comes across a little abrasive at times. But a prime example of my channel, I got, if some guys don't like what I have to say or don't agree with it, and they'll tell me that, say why, I may not agree with what you're saying, but, appreciate the tips, all that type of stuff. So most people are like that. Most people don't have to have somebody completely fit the mold in order to, follow them or buy products or whatever. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what y'all think, and we'll talk later.